Okay, we have a very interesting article here regarding chocolate and chocolate alternatives. We've done a bunch of videos in the past on this topic. It's quite important in the industry to find substitutes because there's the deforestation law coming into effect in the European Union, which is mentioned in this article. So let's just quickly get to the article, read it, read about the six companies, and then we will come back and follow up with some comments. So let's do that. All right, here we go. So the title of the article is Six Startups Rethinking Cocoa for Alternative Chocolate Innovation from foodnavigator.com. So let's begin. Amid soaring prices and deforestation regulations, chocolate manufacturers may be tempted to turn their back on cocoa. What alternatives are on offer? It's not a good time to be a chocolate manufacturer. For one, record-breaking cocoa prices continue to plague the sector. Not so long ago, cocoa was fetching an eye-watering 10,760, which is around 10,000 euros per metric ton. And that's not all. Cocoa is also on the European Union's hit list of deforestation risk commodities as a significant driver of forest loss in primary producing countries, Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana. Along with soy, beef, palm oil, wood, coffee, and rubber, cocoa will soon come under the European deforestation regulation when it's enforced in December this year. Since the new law affects all companies importing cocoa into the bloc, all major European makers will be impacted. Deforestation aside, other irresponsible practices hang heavy on the sector. Forced labor has long been associated with cocoa production, contributing to even lower sustainability credentials. Amid soaring prices, deforestation regulations, and unsustainable practices, chocolate makers may well be tempted to give cocoa alternatives a try. Which cocoa-free or tree-free innovations are promising to do everything cocoa can and more? So we round up six startups rethinking cocoa with sustainability in mind. All right, so number one here we have is Planet A Foods. It says taps oats and sunflower seeds. Who would have thought that store-cupboard ingredients, oats and sunflower seeds, could be transformed into cocoa-free chocolate? In Germany, brother-sister duo Dr. Maximilian and Sarah Marquardt are doing just that with the aim of easing pressures on cocoa supply chains. Their startup Planet A Foods already has a cocoa-free concentrate and butter on the market, which when used together creates cocoa-free chocolate. Sold under the Chovivia brand, the final product is made with a minimum of 20% oats and sunflower seeds, sustainable plant-based fats, sugar, and milk powder, or oat flour for the vegan version. The co-founders describe Choviva as having a delicious aroma and luxurious snap, all with 90% less carbon dioxide emissions than conventional chocolate. We ferment and roast oats in a special way, Dr. Marquardt told Food Navigator in an interview. That's a proprietary technology that my sister Sarah developed. She has developed technology that converts oats into something that tastes like cocoa. Planet A Foods is invested in local processing, fermentation, and roasting, meaning it all takes place at its own facilities close to its customers. Okay, the startup's Choviva is already on the market in Germany, where shoppers can find it incorporated into biscuits, peanut butter cups, granola products, and even packets of Lindt vegan chocolate. All right, number two, Voyage Foods replaces cocoa with upcycled grape seeds. On the other side of the pond, Voyage Foods has also been rethinking chocolate with different raw materials in mind. Although the US-based startup doesn't limit itself to the chocolate category, Voyage Foods also makes coffee-free coffee and nut-free spread. It is invested in making cocoa and dairy-free milk and semi-sweet chocolate products. The company's cocoa-free chocolate uses upcycled grape seeds from post-harvest wine production, which is combined with vegetable oil, cane sugar, sunflower protein flour, natural flavors, sunflower, lecithin, and salt. For example, the company's cocoa-free chocolate replaces cocoa seeds with upcycled grape seeds from post-harvest wine production that are combined with vegetable oil, cane sugar, sunflower. Okay. It's a very clean label, co-founder and CEO Adam Maxwell told our sister publication Food Navigator USA. These are innocuous ingredients, whole ingredients that people understand. But what is special about Voyage is really the transformation of these low or no value materials. As to Voyage Foods' sustainability credentials, according to ESG consumption firm Sfera, the company's chocolate alternatives use 99% less blue water, generate 81 to 84% less greenhouse gases, and are associated with 68 to 88% fewer greenhouse gas emissions from land use change. In big news for the startup, agri-food major Cargill recently announced a new commercial partnership with Voyage Foods to produce alternatives to cocoa-based products and nut spreads without using cocoa peanuts or hazelnuts. The best way to solve human and environmental health challenges through food is to supply the world's food brands and manufacturers with Voyage Foods ingredients, said Maxwell. Partnering with Cargill is the perfect way to scale these solutions globally to offer food manufacturers the ability to integrate cocoa-free confectionery and spreads produced with no nut or dairy allergens used in the recipe formulation into their portfolios. Nukoko makes cocoa-free chocolates from faba beans. Unlike some alt-choc innovators who rely on multiple ingredients to recreate cocoa, UK-based startup Nukoko is focused on one raw material and an unlikely one at that. The faba bean, otherwise known as fava or broad bean, is widely cultivated in Europe and the UK. That's attractive to cocoa since it automatically means it's free from tropical deforestation and significant transport emissions. Faba could also be considered something of a relative to cocoa since, like cocoa beans, faba contains a seed storage protein known as visilin. When that visilin is broken down and the peptides roasted, you get chocolatey flavors, explained plant scientist and Nukoko co-founder Dr. David Salt at Forward Fooding's Food Tech event in London. Dr. Salt, who set up Nukoko alongside co-founders Ross Newton and Kit Tomlinson, believes that by using a controlled fermentation and drying process before being roasted and ground into powder, the startup can create a product with the potential to be cheaper than mass-market chocolate when produced at scale. Indeed, that's Nukoko's target market. Instead of competing with high-end chocolate, startups want to focus solely on supplying its cocoa-free offerings to makers of bulk product chocolate. Although Nukoko is starting its journey with faba, the bean is not the only one with alt chocolate potential. Dr. Salt revealed, "We've looked at the gene sequence of a whole bunch of beans and compared the visilin in them. I would say that faba is definitely not the beginning or end of this story." Next is Celleste Bio, makes tree-free cocoa, butter, and powder. Cell cultivation is not new to the food sector. The concept of lab-grown meat or cell-based dairy is becoming increasingly commonplace on the food tech scene, but what about cell-cultivated cocoa? Unlike many alternative cocoa creations, cell-cultivated cocoa is not technically cocoa-free. In Israel, Celleste Bio is developing tree-free real 100% cocoa butter and powder, and for that reason contends it shouldn't be considered an alternative. To make cultivated cocoa butter and powder, the startup takes a couple of beans from a cocoa pod, extracts the cells responsible for producing cocoa, and then grows them in water, sugar, and vitamins for nourishment. With just those one or two beans, a continuous cycle can be created that repeats itself in a controlled setting, a company spokesperson explained. No additional beans are required and no trees need to be cut down. According to Celleste Bio's calculations, just one cell and one bioreactor can replace 10,000 square meters of cocoa plantations and yield 2 tons of cocoa per year, the equivalent of 1,736 trees, which take between 4 and 7 years to grow. The company is leveraging artificial intelligence computation to enhance cocoa customization for chocolate manufacturers and product specifications to optimize consistency and supply. The startup also suspects that AI will help reduce costs related to formulation trials and waste. The process mimics the natural habitat of cocoa farming without the unpredictability, volatility, and compromises we were told. Celleste Bio is already turning heads, attracting investment from snacks and confectionery major Mondelez International. The startup has the potential to improve sustainability and reduce the cost of cocoa, Richie Gray, global head of Mondelez corporate venture arm Snack Futures Ventures, told Food Navigator. We'll continue to monitor and work in the regulatory landscape and associated with that one. Foreverland is the next one. Foreverland champions forgotten crops and locally sourced ingredients. The Mediterranean is not known for its chocolate production, but southern Italian startup Foreverland is working hard to change this image. The company's 4 founders, Massimo Sabatini, Giuseppe D'Alessandro, Riccardo Bottiroli, and Massimo Brocchetta, are on a mission to overcome the darker side of chocolate. Chocolate, one of the world's most beloved treats, often conceals a darker side to its production, said CTO Bottiroli. Not only is cocoa industry responsible for much deforestation, but is also linked to forced labor. Foreverland is rethinking chocolate with a focus on forgotten crops, upcycled food, and locally sourced ingredients. The startup's cocoa-free chocolate products, which it markets under the name Free Cow, is made from forgotten crop carob alongside a blend of different grains, sugar, and vegetable fats. We've used the combination of traditional and patented innovative technologies to achieve the taste and texture of chocolate without cocoa. Compared to conventional chocolate, it boasts a significantly lower environmental footprint, using 90% less water and being associated with 80% fewer carbon dioxide emissions. Win-win. Win-win turns heads to carob and barley for all chocolate creations. It was a warm day when Food Navigator visited Win-Win on a site visit last year. Sun was streaming through the windows of the London-based startup's trendy East End office space, but without any threat of melting its cocoa-free innovations, the R&D lab is strategically located in the basement. Well, that's where Win-Win's head of chocolate, John Hogan, has full reign. Founded in 2020 by Arkham Pak and Dr. Johnny Drain, Win-Win makes cocoa-free chocolate alternatives from barley and carob, but with conventional chocolate-making equipment. Once these raw materials are fermented, the processing stage begins. We mix these raw materials with fat and sugar, Hogan explained, surrounded by mixers and chocolate molds. In June last year, the startup was predominantly using Ghanaian shea butter as its fat of choice, but was continuing to experiment with a variety of ingredients. On the day we visited the lab, an algae-based fat was being tested. Once the ingredients are combined, Hogan sets about refining their particles for the best flavor release. The chocolate is then tempered for snap and meltability, co-founder Dr. Drain explained. You want it to melt at body temperature. Concerning taste and flavor, Win-Win is confident it's achieved the archetypal bitterness associated with dark chocolate as well as its fruity acidity. We have red berries, prunes, notes of butterscotch, and the long finish and maltiness coming through from the barley. Dr. Drain told Food Navigator. It's a flavor profile that is very similar to that of premium dark chocolate. Lots of acidity, brightness, complexity, and bitterness. Earlier this year, Win-Win underwent a subtle name change. Win-Win was previously named WNWN, standing for Waste Not, Want Not. Under this new trade name, the startup sells its cocoa-free chocolate alternative in wholesale packs to bakeries, food service operators, and the confectionery sector. End of article. So we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 startups that are, 6 startups that are doing different things. It was a very educational article, all doing something a little bit different, but all very informative, and they're all starting to chip away at substitutes. So although it may and may not be with some of the companies their mission statement, they're all trying to help with deforestation mitigation, and they're trying to help with carbon dioxide reduction. And then from the business side, it just makes sense to source items that are much more local and source items that are much more readily available. So very informative, and they all serve the same purpose of helping meet the growing demand for chocolate or chocolate substitutes and alternatives, but at the same time innovating in their own special way. So that was an informative and quite nice article to read.